All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh one more time, and let's start this class, inshallah, which is the political thinking, introduction to political thinking and Islamic perspective. I could see participating in this class now 64. We should be almost double or triple this size, the people who registered for this course. And just a brief one more time, all the lectures will be on Moodle. There are 120 have been registered to Moodle. If you cannot log in, I know some of you have logged in. I have seen quite few who have logged in and have checked the Moodle. That's where I will be putting my lectures, and that's where some the videos they will be both on YouTube, and also of course a link. I will provide a link on Moodle, so you will be able to review this course. It's very condensed course. It's only 5 weeks. I know it probably we need more time, but I will try to cover as much as possible. Then we can schedule maybe some another session for this course, or let's call it political thinking 2. All right. Some of you, in fact quite few, have already taken my course, which was I think 2 years ago, July 2021. That's when we had the previous course. It was on thinking in general. We'll focus on political thinking and Islamic perspective, and I'm pretty sure that many probably would think that this will be mostly focused on political analysis, how to become a real political analyst, which is really political analysis is a small part of the course, because the question comes always, why do I need the political analysis? It is for the political perspective of Islam. So that's what I will be focusing on, what is political, what's not political. So this is quick here. This is the syllabus. Let me go over the syllabus. The syllabus now, it's on, let me take this as just 1 second. Okay, and I will have to share the screen more, so I have to, oh, my screen is not being shared, correct? It's a new share. Okay, so now you can see my Word document, which is called Political Thinking and Islamic Perspective, the syllabus. Can you see that?
We can see the slide.
No?
Presentation slide.
How about now?
Not the document. It's still showing the slide.
Should be visible on your screens. I could see it on my other screen. Can anybody see it? So Rahma says yes. Okay. Yeah, it has the name, the political thinking. It's over here. That's what it says. Syllabus. So this is the syllabus.
Yeah, Doctor, I think we'll need to click on the screen sharing and then select the window with the document.
So let me take your advice. and share. How about now?
Yes, you can see it now.
Okay, good, great. Okay. So, this is the syllabus. The course breakdown. This course introduces the method of political thinking, which is required for Muslim who will assume political positions. Okay, that's important. I don't think every Muslim needs to be a political thinker, but anyone who would assume a political position in the sense that we are talking about is required. So we'll talk about the objective is to enable the learner to understand the principles of political thinking using specific examples, of course. So I will be using specific examples which cover several state policies. Note that I immediately jumped into policies because policies are the result of political thinking. So we will be covering the political thinking related to economic policy. How can we produce thoughts on economic policy, on the ruling policy, foreign affairs policy, education policy, and political analysis. All of these are the outcome of political thinking. So we will have to practice political thinking by looking at how we can produce policies in order to run and conduct the affairs of Muslims. And by the way, political thinking is defined as the methodology for conducting the affairs of people in the best manner possible based on the Aqidah of Islam. That's the Islamic political thinking, is based on the Aqidah of Islam. The capitalist political thinking is based on capitalism and so on. Our method in this class will be provided. We'll use interactive videos. All the videos which I will record, we will make these videos available, and I will make them interactive. I will pose some questions or maybe some request to make some paper analysis, or to do some to provide me with some more on the issues which are discussed within the video. There will be a certificate for those who attend the course and go through the interactive videos and at least do something there to see that you have the brothers and sisters were able to get out of this course as much as possible. So we'll provide this certificate, and I think we will have it signed by the Islamic Oasis. Some of the reference books: Thinking by Taqiyuddin Nabhani, Islamic Thoughts by Mohammad Ismail, The Optimal Political Economy by Abdul Rahman al-Maliki. I'm not sure if these are translated. Somebody told me that there are translations for these. Hopefully we'll provide the links for them, but I have the link for this book. And there is Logic by Wilfred Hodges. This is just to show how other people talk about thinking and various types of thinking. Our learning outcomes will be to know the proper definition of what political thinking is. We will learn the different types of political thinking outcomes, as I mentioned: economy, ruling, education, foreign policies, and how to conduct political analysis. And when I talk about this, we will get a specific examples to go through how I can understand, let's say, what's going on now in like what has happened in Russia in the last couple of weeks with the Wagner group going against Putin, or maybe the Ukraine, or maybe Palestine, or maybe any current event that will be happening at the time when we talk about this issue. So we'll try to make it as live as possible. Hopefully it will be beneficial. Uh, this is the breakdown of the course. So today I am doing the introduction about what is thinking. This is a little bit of a repetition of what, or summary of what I have done in the last course. Then I will go into political thinking and political thinking versus political analysis. What's the difference? Then I will talk specifically about economic policy, which are the political thoughts for achieving the objectives of economic system. Quite often we talk about the economy. It's excellent, it's absolutely superb, but what is the method, what's the policy, what are the thoughts involved in achieving the objectives? Ruling system, the ruling system of Islam, we always say this is the most just system, but then the question comes in, how do we make that happen? We know throughout the history of Islam there were lots of caveats where justice or fairness were in shortage, and that's not a result or a consequence of the political system itself. It is a consequence of the political thoughts behind the implementation of the ruling system policies, and to keep those intact. Same about education policy. There is no doubt that we have an extremely excellent education system that can bring personalities which are very productive personalities, such that no one would be left behind. But what are the policies needed to make that happen? And then we'll talk about the political analysis. Note that we have only 5 lectures because we have only 5 weeks. We will see how we can later on start our second course to go on further in detail. So this is the syllabus that we will be running throughout this short course, which, as I said, 5 lectures. Each one is almost 2 hours. And to make this more productive, I would ask that if you have questions on specific issues, write them on the chat. At the end of the class, I will take all these questions, I will summarize them, and then I will answer them and post them on Moodle, so that we will save this golden time, if you will, because it's very scarce to present the material. Unless there is something very urgent, you can raise your hand, and I think the moderator, we have a moderator here, will allow you to speak. Based probably someone is going to be watching the chats. I will not be able to watch the chats while I am speaking. So I hope Brother Zain, he is with us here, he will be able to watch the chats. If he sees there is something urgent, he can poke me to talk about it. Otherwise, as I said, I will attend to these notes right after the lecture, post them on Moodle so everybody can see them in writing. And then we will, the group, the interaction, the WhatsApp group or community can also be used, but I would rather to post the comments so they will be there always, even for the next classes. So that's where I will be posting my lectures. Now, final note, if you are unable to log in to Moodle, I have posted the link several times. I will post it again here on the chat group. Let me see if I can do that now as I am talking. Okay. Why I can't chat? So this is the link. I put it on chat. Now what you should do, let me actually do one more thing here in front of you. Let me stop share and then share again. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this is the CCT e-learning available courses. This is the login stuff here, and let me log out from my session. I'm the admin. I'm not going to log in as the admin. Actually, I will log in as one of you who have not logged in yet, but I will not choose. Okay. Okay. This is my courses. This is the course, and I will check my participants, and I will pick someone who is here. Okay, let me take this Fozia Ayub. Okay, I will check the profile. I can do that because I'm the one who creates the profiles. So here is the login name. Note that the login name is a small letter of your first name. If your first name does not work, especially if your name is Mohammad, because there are so many Mohammeds and there are quite few Samia. So I made Mohammad 1, 2, 3, 4. If you cannot log in with your first name, just send me the message and I will make sure that or at least I will let you know what name you should be using. So let me get out from here, log out from my account. I will log in with, this is Fozia or Fozia, and the password, which is the generic for everybody, it's called change at 123. I hope this will not fail me. Okay, it did work, so I will never. So here, once you log in, you will use your current password, which is change me or change change at 123. So that's change at 123, and please pay attention to this. The password must have at least 8 characters, at least 1 digit, at least 1 lowercase letter, at least 1 uppercase letter, and at least 1 special character such as star, dash, pound, or at, or something of these symbols. So these are requirements. Quite often you will not be able to the password will not be accepted because of that. I'm not going to log in as Fawzia. Let her do that herself. And here it says you must change your password to proceed because everybody has the same password. So I made this as okay. I see that Aman Jilani says don't know how to do that. I just did that again. You will have your if you registered or you sent me your credentials, I think I remember that I added you, so your name is there. Again, one more time, let me get out of here. and I don't want to save the changes. Leave, log out. So I logged out from there again as admin, and I can see I want to again check the name of the person who has just said you cannot log in. This is my admin, so not everybody will see these. You cannot see the emails of one another. You cannot see the accounts of your friends or colleagues or brothers or sisters. Let me see, Jilani. Here is Amin Sufyan Jilani. Edit profile. Your login is Amin, small letters. These are the logins, so I will use this as a login, and I will log out as Mohammad, and I will log in as Amin, and this password again change at 1 2 3. Invalid login. Probably that's why you complained. I will check your problem after the class, or this problem after the class, and see why it's not accepting it. Or maybe I did something wrong here. Just one more time. Change at 1 2 3. No, well, there is something wrong here. So anyone who cannot log in, just like I could not log in as Amin Gilani, I will fix that after the class, and quite few of you have talked to me about their accounts, and I was able to fix them. So don't worry about that, just let me send me the note, and I will stop sharing the Moodle now. Now, of course, once you go there, it's self-explanatory. Let me log in as admin, my courses. This is the Islamic Political. Here is I have announcements. Whenever I have announcements, they will be here. This is link to videos from previous thinking class if you are interested. And there is the syllabus, which I just looked at it now. And here is week 1, which I will provide now. This lecture, which I will be talking about today, it will be here, and the video, recorded video, will be here on week 1. All of these weeks will be added one by one. Okay, let me stop the share here, and I want to share my lecture now again and go to my class. All right. So now you can see my screen again, my PowerPoint. Can I get yes for the screen? Okay, fine, good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
So now let me, I talked about the reference books already, and my first introduction. Probably many of you have read the book, or some of you may have not, about the book of Tafkir, or thinking, which was written by Sheikh Taqiyuddin Nabhani. But here I will be brief on many of these issues. So the human, or the insan, we always call him as a thinking procedure, a thinking creature. That's one way to distinguish the human being from other creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we are thinking entities. And the man, or I'm sorry to use the word man, made human, because some people now will criticize us as being chauvinist, and this is really the English literature and culture. It's not the Islamic or Arabic. In our terminology, we always use al-insan. We don't use al-rajul or the man. This is borrowed from the English Latin productions, if you can. And this is part of the thinking, by the way. When you see something that's odd or it may provoke your thoughts, it provokes my thought always that all of these human entities are derivative of the word man, like human, woman, man. So this is all derivative from this. In the Islamic culture, which is revealed in Arabic, it is the insan rather than human or man. So anyway, I will be using the word insan quite often, but here for now made human, the preferred entity on earth. And this is in Surah Al-Baqarah, where Allah Azza wa Jal says, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. He taught Adam the names, and then he challenged the angels, the malaika, with this piece of knowledge, of the ability to accumulate information and use the information, not only to remember it, to memorize it, but to be able to use this as a step forward for producing thoughts. So now the knowledge which we have today, we talk about AI, artificial intelligence, and people are being afraid of AI, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, it is a knowledge which has been produced as a product of thinking. The people, insan, made the thoughts and generated the AI, the GPT, the robots, all of this type of interactive learning products these days. So knowledge is the product of thinking. It's not thinking, and we'll see now why I'm mentioning this. And people quite often are interested in the product of thinking more than the thinking itself. Now that's the general people, general. But in reality, we say that without thinking and the thinking procedure, you cannot produce and bring products of thinking. So today when we talk about political thinking, I need a political thought in understanding the foreign relations so I can take a stand one way or another. Now, this has to be based on someone has to do a thinking. But if you cannot think, or if you don't know the procedure of thinking, you will not be able to produce thoughts, whether in AI, whether in computer science, whether in engineering, whether in policy making, etc. And of course, when people, they fail to understand the reality of thinking and the reality of mind, if you will, then we will not be able to produce product of thinking in a valid, correct manner. So we will end up with wrong thoughts or incomplete thoughts or irrelevant. You may bring a thought process for something that's not related to your problem, and that's of course depending on how you produce this thought. Now, while people started playing with this thinking in order to produce different types of knowledge, there are different styles which were generated throughout the history of mankind. The logics, they were introduced by Greek philosophers, and they made foundations of logic, and it's a means, it's a style, it's a means of producing thoughts. It's called logic. Scientific methodology, this is a style also of generating thoughts, and which was very prominent, and it led to what is called the Industrial Revolution. So it's not something that we can ignore. Scientific methodology or method of thinking is a valid thinking, but it is restricted to certain area of knowledge. It's not comprehensive, but it's a valid one. And it did produce a wealth of knowledge, as I was mentioning. Artificial intelligence is one of them. uh, in industrial revolution, current digital revolution, and so on. So, but it failed to provide accurate understanding of the reality of thinking, because it just focused on this scientific method, and then people in fact started using the scientific method sometimes for political thoughts or for socio-economic thoughts, and that was a grave mistake, and they failed to distinguish between the thinking process and the mind, what is thinking process and what is the mind, and so on. So that's some quick remarks here. And here I will introduce a model of knowledge. What I am interested in is in this box right here, which is knowledge. That's what we use in our daily life. Knowledge. That's what. So if I know physics, I can deploy it in order to build some machines or some tools that enable us, let's say, to raise very heavy metallic objects using cranes, and the crane is based on the laws of physics, and the laws of physics are based on understanding of how matter interacts with itself and other objects. So that knowledge allows us to build high-rise building, because that's what we are interested in. But this knowledge comes from a certain methodology of thinking. You have to produce thoughts that give you the knowledge. And this thinking requires the mind, not only the brain, and I will explain the difference. There is a mind which is really a thinking mechanism that will use a certain methodology that will produce the knowledge. The knowledge now comes back in a cycle, is used again in the same method to generate yet more and more knowledge. And we have seen how knowledge is accumulative. It comes in, first you produce a piece of knowledge, then you use that knowledge again, it becomes your standard of knowledge. It becomes a standard. You use it to produce more, and so on. And initially, this is the info. There is something called the info here. Okay, which is the information. That is just raw data or raw information. When I tell you my name is Mohammad, or my general title which I go by is Abu Talha. So this goes to your mind. You use it as an information. Now your mind starts correlating this to people that you know who have the name Abu Talha or Muhammad or Malkawi or Jilani or whatever name is this. And then you start using your mind to produce more knowledge, to come up with a conclusion which can be useful for you, whether to take knowledge from this brother or to avoid controversial thoughts that could place someone in trouble if he or she will take the knowledge from this person. For example, this is what the intelligent operations they will do. They will get a piece of information. Someone reported this brother is speaking about high-level political thoughts which are related to economic policies, political systems, etc., conducting the affairs of humans and people, blah, blah, blah. Oh, so this becomes, this information will be used by their method, and the knowledge they produce is that this person should be banned from speaking on public. I'm just giving a real example here. And of course, these are some of the tools which we use. Unexplored mind, if the ability to remember and retrieve information from the mind, once you store it there, then you will have lots of information unexplored. Or it could be partially explored, so you may not be able to produce the most relevant knowledge. If it's heavily explored, we're talking about the mind being explored. I explore my mind, I explore my brain, I explore the information stored within me, I explore the ways of correlating information and so on. So now, this is actually an example. It's very interesting. When I was reviewing this lecture today, I used this example 2 years ago when Biden and Putin met in Geneva. See, check recent history, recent remark made by Putin and Biden. Read article in Associated Press, and then produce the knowledge here out of this information which are related to world politics. If I use only the knowledge without processing it in the mind, I would say this is the wrong path. The path has to be with this: get me the knowledge, use the methodology which we are talking about, the producing of the thought, generate the knowledge, then again do the cycle until you come to a final conclusion. And the conclusion which we came up with during that course, which was actually July 2021, there was a meeting that took place in June, on June 16th, 2021, and our conclusion was Biden or America wants to contain Russia. Biden and Putin want to become allies. So these are they become allies, but the end objective of Biden is to contain Russia so that it does not remain like a floating wolf or lonely wolf in the world. That was then, and then the later, 1 year later, the Ukraine war, and came to assert this conclusion. That's not my topic tonight. I just made a reference to it because we talked about that 2 years ago. There are some controversies that people need to understand. These controversies, for example, evolution or absolute creation, and you need to be able to come to a conclusion, and depending on what type of methodology you use. If you use the scientific methodology, you will come to a certain thought. If you use the logic, you come maybe to a different thought. In fact, if you use the logic, you may come to two contradicting. You can, with logic, you can say, oh, evolution is a fact, or you can come to say, no, there is a creation with this. And with the science, the same. You will find scientists who say, no, we are a result of evolution. Scientists who will say, we are absolute creation. Now the mind here, if you use the mind, the mental thinking, you will have to come up with one and only one solution which cannot be contradictive to, which cannot arrive at the same thought and its counterpart. Okay. Now, moderator, before I proceed, tell me, do we want to take 5 minutes break after 5 minutes so people can have a sip of water or something? Because 2 hours
Yeah, inshallah, that's
of
inshallah.
thinking, not only talking about thoughts, are very tiring. I know some people have been working a lot during the day, or maybe they are late at night like myself. But so let me, in 6 minutes from now at 12 midnight my time, we will take 5 minutes break, if you allow me. Can we do that?
Yes, of course,
Let me
inshallah.
see. Do I see yes or no? The majority are saying no, or no one actually is
Yeah, it's up to
responding.
basically the Can you hear me? All right.
Okay. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Three yeses. Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Four.
inshallah, however
All
you want
right.
to do
Okay.
this.
So I see
Yeah.
I see a good support 5 minutes break. This will be 5 minutes from now. So now I will briefly again, because as I said, this is a review of all lectures. What is mind, what is not? And here I collected some information on how people look at mind. In general, we can say, look, before we proceed, don't confuse mind with the brain. Brain is the tool. It's just like the hand. My hand is a tool. It's like my tongue. My tongue is a tool. But my speech is not my tongue. My pinch, like this, is not my hand. My hand is the tool that I use it to raise objects or to shake hands with people. That's a tool. So we have to distinguish between the brain and the mind. Mind is not the brain. Brain is the tool. Mind is not the feeling. Feeling is emotion. It's a response to instinct. You know, my instinct of survival includes my ability to fear, to have some fear, to be afraid. That's instinct. So when I'm scared or I'm afraid or I'm trying to collect my courage, all of this are either my feelings of my generated by my instincts or my response to my instinct. If I'm or my actual physical need, hunger. My hunger is not the food. My hunger is not the eating. My hunger is an emotion that provokes me and pushes me to go and find some food, irrespective of what that food is, as long as it can quell my hunger. That's what it is. So it's not a revelation. Mind is not a revelation. It's not the wahi, because these are the things which we know that sometimes come up in the shape of knowledge. It's not the wahi. Mind is the one that can accumulate the wahi, and then from there the knowledge will be propagated or used in real life. So the definitions of mind so far in the world at large, they were either vague or unfounded. There are no reasoning behind it, or maybe irrelevant. In fact, irrelevant to the whole process of thinking. Now, the most serious attempts of mind definitions, other than the recent definitions which we propose, were by Hegel and Marx. Hegel, the idealist, the one whose ideas produced capitalism, and Marx, whose ideas produced the socialism and communism. These are serious attempts to define mind, but they could not arrive at the conclusion, not because they are weak thinkers, but because they were biased. They wanted a definition that suits their objective. So they already have an objective within their thoughts, not with their thinking process. Then they came to define the mind that can be in line with what they have already in their brains, in their minds, in their life, in their ambitions, in their objectives they have decided to have. So that's their problem is there. Otherwise, they could have arrived at the correct thing. Now, someone is saying, okay, if the brain is the tool, then what's the mind? Actually, that's what I'm trying to come up. What is mind? What's thinking? I will come to it. But let me see, our Muslim scholars in the past, they have addressed millions of issues in the fiqh, in the policies, in the politics, in thinking, in thoughts. And they were actually, many of them tried to find a good definition of what mind is. Al-aql, in Arabic they call it al-aql. What is al-aql? What is this entity? And they contributed, but nevertheless, we claim that they were somehow impacted by the status quo, previous Greek philosophers, or maybe some of their own thoughts. But anyway, some of the scholars, in fact many of them, they have three definitions of mind. One of them is called the instinct. So they said it's an instinct, غريزة. It is something embedded within the body. That's what mind is. Some, they said it's a vision. It's a vision that is implanted in your self as a human. Somebody implanted you a vision that you can see things and you can produce knowledge. But and this is very vague. And then some of them, they said it's the understanding. But the understanding, actually, it's the product or the result of thinking. So let me finish this slide and then I will stop here. Among the most prominent scholars who talked about mind extensively was Al-Harith Al-Muhasibi. If somebody wants to check that, has an interest in this subject beyond what we are talking about here, you can Google Imam Al-Harith Al-Muhasibi, and you look at his articles and booklets. The Mind, he has The Mind, Its Reality and Variations of Understanding. The title is excellent. But actually it does not provide you with the absolute correct understanding or distinguishing between mind, thinking, instincts, or reflections. So this is where I will stop right here. Give me 5 minutes. I will mute myself and take my video off for 5 minutes. I will be here at 12:07 inshallah. I will see you.